this time in here.
Yeah, it's kind of-
Well, last time it was.
I'll let you get, let me know when you're ready. You ready?
All right.
Just as a reminder, I'm telling all the applicants you're on camera, you know that from previously. I'm going to ask that you approach me and give me your cell phone number. I'm only going to call those individuals when they can show up. And I'm going to try to call as close in proximity to after business hours so people aren't waiting by the phone. So can I get your cell phone very quietly up there? Kim, we have thoroughly read your application. If you'd like to make an opening statement, and we can maybe tell us something that we did not read from there, maybe something in your life that's happened last time you were before us, that'd be great.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your service on the JNC and for taking the time to review all these materials and interview all these candidates. Last time I was so focused on my application, I didn't really appreciate the process and the commitment of you and all the other applicants. So this has been a learning experience, as I think everyone tells you as they come through it. There are some new matters in my application. Hopefully it didn't take you as long to go through it this time. Sadly, there are a couple mistakes as well. When I was reformatting this document is difficult to fill out. So I reformatted so I could put italics for the case law and some bold in there to make things stand out. And question 23 and 24 did not survive the transition well. Number 23, I practice 50% of my time in civil. I do not practice in criminal at all, and it's confusing the way it's written. And that's page 6 of the application. And, but I do have 5 years of criminal experience, and hopefully I'll get to share that with you as I understand this is a criminal court bench, Judge Davidson's seat. The second mistake is right under that, the word that should be in front of 186 is administrative. And as I said, that just somehow disappeared when I reformatted the application. The new matters basically deal with 2 difficult mediations I had late last year, and those are in the package. I hope I get a chance to tell you about them. They were extreme personalities and very complicated matters. Some of the cases had gone back to 2007 that we finally were able to mediate. Then also too, there's some updated information on the Commission on Ethics, some new case numbers that I've dealt with, and some resolutions that have come about since I filled out the application the first time. There are 4 matters that are not in the application at all, just because I didn't seem to fit anywhere in the categories. The first one is a vested rights hearing that I argued in front of Brevard County Special Magistrate dealing with a binding development plan, a contract between my client and the county from 1990, and the county did not want to abide by it. They did not want her to build because of wetlands impacts and changes to the comp plan. And so after a lengthy evidentiary hearing, the magistrate ruled in our favor, and my client is now able to build 2 houses in lands they did not want her to build on. The second matter is the Children's Services Council of Brevard. I don't know if I mentioned that last time. I took that on as a pro bono matter to help get them on the ballot for ad valorem taxes. That wasn't successful. In January, the County Commission decided they wanted to dissolve the Children's Services Council by ordinance, when we felt it had to be by referendum of the electorate. Because it happened so quickly, we were unable to find legal counsel, so I spent the weekend researching mostly Attorney General opinions to find out special district taxing issues, and then argued before the County Commission. They still dissolved it. We have now hired legal counsel at West Palm Beach to actually take the litigation up to circuit court.
Let me stop you there in the interest of time.
Okay.
Dan, let's start with you.
Mr. Rezanka, you've got great experience. But I want to address a couple things. We all interview a lot of people in the community, leaders in the community about the applicants. And I assume many of us go through and say, let me tell you about the other applicants that we have, even when we're speaking to references about one person. If the commission has a concern about demeanor when you take the bench, if you're nominated, if you're appointed, if you took the bench and there are concerns in the community about judicial demeanor, how can you address that for us, please?
I find that a bit surprising, honestly. I think my demeanor has been well-tempered. I am passionate about my clients, and clients hire me because I am willing to do the steps necessary to resolve their problems. But I understand that being a judge takes a different temperament, and you have to be patient, and you have to listen, and you have to be open-minded, all of which I've really come to know in the Commission on Ethics. And so I believe that has helped, but I do understand that you have to understand what the person is before you is telling you. And you have to understand the impact that what you do as a judge impacts their money and their liberty and their life. And so I don't think that transition will be difficult for me. I think my demeanor has been shown in many of my public hearings where when I have to interview or cross-examine members of the public, and I understand they're not expecting it. So I try to be very respectful, and I am respectful, and I even think the county commissioners would tell you that. Even the Children's Services Council was a very difficult 3-hour hearing and high emotions, and many names were called. And the county commissioner said, "Kim, we understand you're doing your job, and we don't have any problems with what you did." It was some of the late persons that were very ugly that they had the problem with. So I don't know who that was. I wish I knew, and I wish I could talk to them. But I don't think I have a demeanor problem. Just feeling passionate with my clients, and I act that way in front of the court and in front of administrative bodies, but not acting as a judge on the Commission on Ethics.
As a follow-up to that, there's, from Chief Justice Kennedy down, there is a lesson to Florida's judges about being humble and showing humility.
Yes, sir.
And members of the commission may have a question about if you are able to don a robe, will you remember humility?
I am humble, but I grew up in a family where you weren't really supposed to show weakness, and you were supposed to be confident. And I think also too, as an attorney litigation, you are seemed to be, you were shown to be a little more dominant, aggressive. But I don't think that I'm humble. I know what I don't know. I know what I have to learn, and I do take the steps to research that. And I do listen to people, and I think that is important. And recognizing that you have to follow the law, and you don't have the ability to go off and, as I read somewhere, color outside the constitutional lines. You have to follow the law, and I intend to do that, and I think I can do that.
Can I have one more? Sure. All right. And I don't know if this is rumor, I don't know if this is fact, but I want you to be able to address it before we deliberate. Okay. Did you have any disagreement with the nominations that we made last time you were before the commission? Did you make any efforts to make any changes to the list, add to the list, or did any others do that on your behalf?
I know I raised issues. I didn't understand the process, and having watched it, I think you all made an excellent choice in Rob Sable. I argued before him recently on the appellate panel, and he's a great judge. I was concerned that there were only 4 nominations sent up. I talked to a friend in Tallahassee, but I didn't ask him to do anything, nor did I know that he might have done anything. But no, I do not believe that I made any efforts. I was disappointed, and I was upset. And I apologize for anyone I made uncomfortable, because I did try to reach out to a couple of you. But I was new to this process, and I now really do appreciate the process, and certainly respect anything that you all do here today.
Jeff?
Hi, Kim. I don't know if we asked this before, and I apologize if we've done it, but you had a long career at DME for 15 or so years, managing shareholder. I mean, you were really entrenched at the firm, and then you left in 16 to go to Canwell. What happened there?
There were a number of things that happened. One, I decided that managing, well, one, you can't really manage attorneys. It's difficult. It's like herding sheep. And I wanted to get out of management. 2, the Commission on Ethics takes an extraordinary amount of time. I would say it takes probably 24 hours out of every 6 weeks of time that I can't bill, and DME had substantial billing requirements. 3rd, I wanted the ability to do things I couldn't do with them. I had a client come to me that wanted me to invest in one of their projects, and I was not allowed to do that as a shareholder with DME. And 4, I was much closer to home. I saved 3 hours in travel time a day now by being where I'm at. And I like the persons I work with. Bill Cantwell, who just recently passed away, was a phenomenal litigator. And Mitch Goldman is an amazing real estate attorney. Also, Mason Blake retired from the firm. I needed that amazing real estate attorney to do what I do in Legends.
Well, Kim, good seeing you. I've known Kim for a long time, and I really have no questions. I know your ability and I wish you luck.
Thank you.
Dave?
Morning. Can you tell us about one characteristic of yourself, your personality, that you think lends itself to being a circuit judge, and also identify one characteristic that is somewhat of a challenge?
I believe I'm very versatile, and I can deal with different matters as they come up. I had to do that in insurance defense. Just every time somebody came up with something different, whether it was a legal malpractice issue, a car injury, a homeowner's case, it was very versatile in my ability to research and understand. Something that's a challenge, goodness.
I'm more interested in your personality. Like, obviously, your legal acumen is well demonstrated. Your personality, who you are.
Who I am. I believe I'm empathetic. I do pay attention to what people tell me. I do listen, and I have to do it with my clients. I have many small businesses and individual clients, and I have to help them understand the process and what they're facing. As to something in my personality, I think it's both a good trait and a bad trait that I'm bold, and I can make the difficult decisions, but some people think that's aggressive, and I see it as passionate. But I think being bold might be a detrimental personality trait.
Andrew?
Hi, Kim. First of all, I appreciated the organization of your application. It's very easy to read, so thank you for that. I know I've known you for a while. We dealt with each other when I was a prosecutor, I think, on one case, and then just professionally. So I'm familiar with your litigation experience, and as a litigator myself, sometimes I will wake up in the middle of the night thinking about a case, wishing that I had done something differently. Has that ever happened to you? And what would be an example of that?
Well, one recent case is the appellate argument I had with Mr. Weiss's firm was on the other side, it was in front of the city of Cocoa. And it was dealing with code enforcement and whether the short-term rentals were preempted by state law. And so it was one of those things I came out of there going, oh, I wish I had said this, or I wish I had made more of an explanation of this. But as you know, in oral argument, you get about 2 minutes before they start throwing questions at you, and it's hard to get back to your position. So that does happen. I don't know that I could have done anything differently. Mr. Weiss's firm was excellent, and they prevailed. So that does happen, yes.
Okay. Don?
Hello, it's nice to see you again.
Thank you.
What would you say sets you apart from everyone else that's applying here today? I assume you're familiar with the other
Yes, ma'am.
applicants.
I think I have a greater depth and breadth of legal experience than most of the applicants. I do have the 5 years of criminal experience. Part of that when I was a law clerk working for the judges, where I dealt mostly with post-conviction criminal proceedings and also evidentiary issues. One of my first issues was dealing with the murder of a young child, Junior Reyes-Martinez, and doing some evidentiary research there. Then with just the civil litigation and the learning of the evidence code, which I know all the criminal attorneys know very well, but I know it as well. Also, if I do get to the civil bench, the rules of procedure aren't as clear-cut as most people think, and I'm very well versed in the rules of procedure, discovery, Daubert standard, things that criminal practitioners would have no idea. Well, they have some idea, but not to the extent that a criminal civil practitioner would. I just think I have more experience than most of the applicants.
Andrew?
Just one question I have is, why not a federal judge position? Because as you described yourself, you're bold, your experience is very, very, very valuable, you're very successful as an attorney, you're very connected, you're on the Ethics Commission, you do a lot of things, and your resume is outstanding. Why not a lifetime appointment rather than circuit court judgeship?
I'm not well versed in the federal rules. I've only been to federal court a few times, and twice I crashed and burned. I'm not comfortable in federal court, and I like being with the people. I like going to CivMil. I like going to the EDC. I like being in the community and active with people. And I don't know that being in Orlando on the federal bench would be the great place for me. I hadn't really thought about it until you mentioned it. But I don't do much in federal court.
Captain?
Thank you. What time will you start court?
I would start whatever time they'd allow me to, generally at 8:30 because of staff. From what I understand, I talked with Judge Davidson at length. But yes, by 8:30, do general motion calendars, whatever needed to be done, and the trials start at 9. I was talking to Judge Davidson. I had a trial that went to 11 o'clock at night when I was a prosecutor. She said they try not to do that anymore because of poor personnel. But I would do whatever it needed to do to get the docket to move efficiently.
Thank you.
We're a little pinched for time, Kim. I have a couple questions for you, maybe kind of following up on Mr. Gerber's. The last time you came before the committee was your first time, correct?
Yes, sir.
It was the first time you had sought out to be a judge. You had never run before either, correct?
Correct.
And what, did people counsel you about the importance of persistence and deference to those that have come before many times who show a commitment over many years that they really have a burning desire in their soul to be a judge? Did people talk to you and counsel you about that?
Judge Harris mentioned something along those lines. I believe you'd also mentioned something about that. But no, I didn't know that, the perseverance was such an issue. I don't believe I was counseled on that, except for Judge Harris.
And you said today that you think one of your stronger qualities, and of course an important quality for any judge, is to listen well. I think I heard you say that. Right?
Yes, sir.
What is the biggest lesson you learned from the time you came before us before, when you did not make the short list, to today, about this process?
I think that that you all know what you're doing, to be honest. I'm going to admit I watched the other interviews, I looked at other applications, and Rob Siegel did a fantastic job. He had the qualities you were looking for. I did not know last time you were looking for a family law lawyer. It was never mentioned to me. So this time I did a bit more research to talk to Judge Davidson to find out where it would be, to find out when the next election would be, to talk to someone that could run an election for me. So I think it was just understanding that you all have a method to how you do things.
And if you had to go back knowing what you know now, would you have done anything differently after you didn't make the short list?
I probably would not have called people to find out their perceptions of what I did right or didn't do right. I know I talked to several of you, and I probably would have appreciated the process. This time, whatever you do is going to be fine with me, and I will either try again or perhaps run again or run next year.
And one final question. If it's not you, if you don't, whether you make the short list or don't, if you're not appointed, who from the other applicants do you think is the most qualified?
Probably Michelle Neighborhouse.
Any follow-up questions? Kim, once again, thanks.
Thank you for consideration.